USH innovations. 8mm dual circuit heating mats with low profile and minimal build height of only 15mm for new buildings or retrofitting. Installation of USH 8mm heating mats on wood floors. The wood floor should be completely covered with a floor primer and the margin insulation strip fixed around the edges of the room. Phonotherm decoupling boards should be glued over the full surface to be stuck down and along the butt joints. Once the entire floor surface is covered with phonotherm boards, the USH 8mm heating mats can be laid out. Whenever a heating mat needs to be folded or shortened, then the specified mat length should be marked on the mat and a sharp pair of scissors used to carefully cut along the mark. The copper mesh is cut through, and after removing the pipe holding clips, the plastic undermat can also be cut. Care must be taken not to damage any pipes when cutting through the copper mesh and plastic matting. The sectioned heating mat can be rotated 180 degrees and laid with the plastic mats slightly overlapping. Care should be taken not to crimp the pipes during this process. Once the excess matting is trimmed off, the mats are stretched out flat and stapled to the boards. At this stage, the feeder pipes along the floor can also be covered with any excess copper mesh to ensure more even heat distribution. Installation of USH 8mm heating mats directly onto primed concrete floor. When unrolling the USH 8mm heating mat, it is important to rotate the coiled feeder pipes to avoid twisting or crimping during mat layout. The longer of the two feeder pipes should be laid to the furthest point from the manifold. At this point, the installer should plan which route the feeder pipes will take when laid along the floor back to the manifold. The heating mat can then be fixed either by drilling and using the USH broad-headed plugs or spot glued with flexible tile adhesive. If the heating mat needs to be shortened, then the matting can be cut through with a sharp pair of scissors, taking care not to cut the pipe. The metal clips are removed and any excess feeder pipe is straightened. The feeder pipes are then fixed down all the way back to the manifold. It is important to remember that the heating mat must be stretched out flat and fixed in place to ensure that no pipe or matting is proud when the self-leveling screed is poured. Installation of USH 10mm heating mats on concrete floor with insulation. The concrete floor surface should be swept clean and a floor primer applied. Polystyrene insulation boards are butted together and stuck on the floor using a flexible tile adhesive covering the full surface of each board. Phonotherm decoupling boards are then laid over the insulation boards in a crosswise pattern and also stuck in place using flexible tile adhesive, again over their full surface and making sure that all joints and any holes are sealed. The USH heating mats are then unrolled and one end is fixed first. The heating mat is then stretched out flat and easily stapled to the decoupling boards. Care must be taken not to twist or crimp any pipes. Installation of USH 10mm heating pipe with USH clip rail system on Rolljet insulation. Rolljet insulation is laid over the entire floor with all joints sealed. Peeling off the protective film on the sticky underside of the clip rails enables these to be stuck down in parallel, the required distance apart. The pipe clips are inserted in the rail at the desired distance apart. The clips are turned 90 degrees to lock into place. Taking care to avoid crimping, the pipe is unrolled, fixed into the clips until the meander pattern fills the frame. Pipe bends should be fixed down with the USH broad-headed plugs to ensure that no pipe is proud when Technoplan DE self-leveling screed is poured. Installation of USH 10mm heater pipe stapled on Rolljet insulation. The USH stapler device is ideal for stapling the 10mm pipe directly onto Rolljet insulation. Once the pipe spacing has been determined, it is possible to lay the pipe in any of the standard meander or spiral patterns. Care must be taken that none of the inflow-outflow feeder pipes leading to the manifold cross over each other. Installation of the USH 10mm heating mats directly onto primed concrete floor. The heating mat is unrolled and fixed to the floor at one end. The inflow-outflow feeder pipes are unrolled, and after drilling, these are fixed to the concrete floor with USH broadhead plugs. Installation of USH 10mm heating pipe with USH clip rail system on concrete floor. The rails are fixed with roll plugs and screws to the floor in the chosen location at the selected distance apart. The USH clips are inserted at intervals of about 10 to 15 centimeters and turned 90 degrees to lock. The heater pipe is then clipped into the frame until the layout pattern is complete. And the inflow-outflow pipes secured to the floor all the way back to the manifold. Any pipe or bends which are proud should be firmly secured to the floor with the USH broadhead plugs. It is important to note that before screeding, expansion joints must be planned when installing heating mats of different pipe sizes, and where normal building regulations specify this. Excess matting can also be used to fix pipes which stand proud to the floor. Surfaces upon which heating pipes are laid must subsequently be covered with plastic mesh, and this also applies to larger spaces between heat mats. Mounting of USH manifolds. Secure the manifold to the wall using an adjustable angle bracket and nipping screw. Each pipe is held up to the fitting couplet, and after taking into account the pipe insertion depth, the excess pipe is trimmed off using the special USH plastic pipe cutter or sharp scissors. The pipe ends can then be inserted into the fitting couplets by hand or with the special USH insertion extraction pliers. When required, a remote control or actuator with room thermostat can be fitted to the USH manifold to provide room temperature controls in accordance with national energy efficiency regulations. Screeding with self-leveling compound Technoplan DE. The precise amount of water for each sack of Technoplan DE is added to a mixing bucket. And a sack of Technoplan DE is added and thoroughly stirred until the mixture is viscous. The self-leveling screed is then poured into a corner to begin the floor screeding to a minimum height of 5 mm over the heating pipes. The self-leveling screed distributes itself evenly over the section to be covered. The screeding of a room should be done in one go to ensure a uniform bond and a complete seal of the floor surface. Technoplan DE dries quickly and the screeded surface can be walked on after 6 hours drying time. After only 72 hours, the heating system can be tested up to the normal operating temperature. The screeded surface is now ready to be worked.